basketball coach Juwan Howard has been suspended 5 games, which is the remainder of the regular season, and fined $40,000 for striking Wisconsin assistant Joe Krabbenhoft in the face after Sunday's game. That was announced by the Big Ten Conference on Monday. Wisconsin coach Greg Gard was fined $10,000 while not suspended. Krabbenhoft did not receive punishment. Michigan forwards Terrence Williams, Moussa Diabate, and Wisconsin guard Jacoby Neath were each suspended 1 game. The disciplinary actions were imposed by the Big Ten in conjunction with both schools. Juwan Howard released the following statement, quote, "After taking time to reflect on all that happened, I realized how unacceptable both my actions and words were and how they affected so many. I'm truly sorry. I'm offering my sincerest apology to my players and their families, my staff, my family, and the Michigan fans around the world. I'd like to personally apologize to Wisconsin's assistant Joe Krabbenhoft and his family, too. Lastly, I speak a lot about being a Michigan man and representing the University of Michigan with class and pride. I did not do that, nor did I set the right example in the right way for my student athletes. I will learn from my mistake, and this mistake will never happen again. No excuses." Now, it was a fascinating 24 hours of watching people on Twitter call for Howard to be fired while others were blaming Wisconsin. It's a good reminder of why Twitter isn't used to adjudicate disputes, because there are consequences in life for actions, and they can be far less than costing someone his or her job. This is twice in 2 years Howard had disputes with other Big Ten coaches that got out of hand. There was 0 punishment last year for the dust-up with Maryland and then coach Mark Turgeon. I think it was due to the timing, as it was in the middle of the Big Ten tournament, but something had to happen for an open hand to Wisconsin's assistant. This seems reasonable. Michigan fans are going to say it's too much. Wisconsin fans likely will say it's not enough. What matters most here are Howard's words. He says it won't happen again, and it shouldn't.
Regular season after his altercation with Wisconsin assistant in the following Sunday's game. The Wolverines have 5 games remaining before the Big Ten tournament. So again, this is the regular season. That tournament does start on March 9th. You take a look at the rest of the schedule. 5 games left, the next 4 of which will be at home. Michigan currently projected as the last team in the NCAA tournament field, Kevin, according to our Joe Lenardi.
Well, thank you. And by the way, that graphic just shows the rankings from yesterday. It's updated now. And we have Illinois at 15, Michigan State now out of the top 25, but still a top 25 talented team. Iowa at 25, Ohio State at 22. I mean, that is a tough, and Rutgers on Wednesday night. That is a tough road.
That is opportunity. If you're trying to make the NCAA tournament,
yes,
those games offer you an opportunity to earn your way in, because every one of those is going to be a quad 1 win.
Yes. Great point, especially when you're sitting there on the bubble. Seth Greenberg, LaFonso Ellis here with us, and you also have somebody there, associate head coach Phil Martelli, who knows a thing or two about playing excellent basketball here. You mentioned at the beginning of the show, you thought 5 games would be fair. Mm-hmm. Your thoughts on this decision here by Michigan?
No, I love the decision, and I thought it fits what happened. Again, had it been isolated to the 2 of them just arguing, no altercation, fine. I wouldn't have expected a suspension at all. But as soon as you wind up and you make contact with someone, I thought it should have a level of severity, and this is exactly the way I thought it should play out.
You got to send a strong message, because you got to say that this type of behavior is unacceptable. Now, here's the bigger question: will players be suspended?
Yes.
Because those players basically are the byproduct of what happened before them. You know, the players were fine going through that handshake line until the altercation took place. So I'm interested to see how Michigan and the Big Ten kind of looks at the prism they look through to decide what they're going to do with the players.
Because the players, before all of this, they were triggered into that altercation.
Correct. Exactly.
And then we saw specifically, you could see if you watch the video over and over again, 3 specific players.
Yes. And
one from Wisconsin. Exactly. And then they're all retaliating in that. Greg Gard, we have no word if we're going to hear anything from Wisconsin's side. Do you expect to see him suspended here?
I said it before, with him contributing to Juwan Howard walking through the line, grabs him on the arm, dude's already hot. I feel like that's enough of him having instigated that part of it that would be warranted a 1-game
And the
suspension.
context, we saw also video that was on the court there from a local reporter where he was like, "Get off me, don't touch me, get your hands off of me," leading into that.
Yeah, my gut feeling is that the reason this has taken so long, the reason that Michigan has suspended Juwan Howard and not the league, If I was a betting man, I'd say Wisconsin will not suspend Greg Gard.
Okay, by the way,
I think they will reprimand him, though.
Ward Manuel, the AD of Michigan, issued a strong statement yesterday as well, coming off of that news conference where there was no remorse on either side, too.
None, zero.
And both coaches, that press conference was so poorly handled.
Yes.
They need someone to sit with them before they go into a press conference like that and say, let's think through this thing.
Yep.
And unfortunately, that didn't happen. I think both of those guys showed remorse and said, you know what? As I look back, I'm embarrassed by how this
completely different tone today.
Neither took responsibility for
Neither
their
one.
actions.
Yes,
Exactly.
and both were involved. Okay, guys, much more from these guys. Of course, at the half tonight, Louisville and North Carolina coming your way. And there's Roy. He's going to be a spectator watching on. Hubert Davis and his Tar Heels getting ready for
many
Louisville.
Argyle sweaters does that man have?
But it's always the beautiful blue that stands out, El.
Thanks, Kevin. On day number 82 of the owners' lockout negotiations between Major League Baseball and the players.
Immediately, and the Big Ten issued a statement. It reads in part, the Big Ten Conference coaches and student athletes are expected to display the highest level of sportsmanship. Our expectation is that the incident yesterday will provide our coaches and student athletes with the opportunity to reflect, learn, and move forward in a manner that demonstrates decorum and leadership on and off the court. Back here in studio, Kevin Nagani alongside Seth Greenberg, as well as LaFonso Ellis. Did they get it right, Seth?
I think they got it right. And in the end, Greg Gard's getting fined $10,000 for the initial altercation. Juwan Howard's getting suspended 5 games because of that swing.
The mush, yep.
Because here's the deal. There's no place for that. You're supposed to be a role model. There's a standard that is set, the behavior of a coach. And a coach should not be part of the instigation. The coach should be the person that helps lead. And right now, think about the residual effect of this. Because of what happened, because of the altercation, now other student athletes got involved.
3 players.
Now you got 3 players that are being suspended because you know what? They mirrored the behavior of their head coach. And to me, that's unacceptable. I think they got it 100% correct.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Seth. I mean, this is one of those situations I've said all day long. I felt he should be suspended for the regular season, and I felt the punishment fit the crime in this case. There's no place for that. I actually thought it was a bad day for college basketball when that took place, because it's our responsibility to set a good example for our kids, because they will follow what we do. And you know how I see college, Seth. I feel like it's the last vestige of opportunity to shape and mold these young people. What? One of these days, if you're in a job situation, Kevin Nagandi gets a promotion and I don't, I'm going to take a swing at my boss? You'd be fired right away.
Yeah.
So I like what took place today, and I'm very comfortable with it.
Earlier on SportsCenter, you mentioned 5 games. You thought that would be the fair thing for Juwan Howard. You also mentioned Greg Gard should get 1 game because Juwan told him multiple times, don't touch me. Are you okay that it's just a fine?
Yeah, I still thought he should have been suspended 1 game because he was an instigator in that case versus allowing Juwan, who was clearly upset about it, to just walk on past. But the fact that they gave him a $10,000 fine, I don't have a problem with that. I just thought he should have been suspended, Seth.
I think the biggest thing right now is both of those guys went to press conferences.
Yes.
And basically they had no remorse. They took no accountability for their own actions. Here's what I'd like to see happen. Be the adult in the room. Joint statement from those 2 guys saying, you know what? We apologize. We were wrong. It's a poor job of us basically setting a standard.
Okay, and we will see how this plays out for Michigan. The final 5 games, tough schedule in front of them, including Rutgers on Wednesday night.